Hey Tom, it's me, Rahul. I want to take a couple of minutes for you to get to know me before we have dinner. I'm a son of an immigrant, an attorney, an entrepreneur, a husband, a father, and most importantly, an F45er, an F45 franchisee. I was the black sheep of my family. You know, as a son of an immigrant, my dad moved to this country, gave up everything that he had, and came here with no money to create an opportunity for me and my sister. And my dad's dream was for me to be a doctor, right? It's kind of the American dream, the success story. But something early on kind of just didn't click for me. It never clicked that this is what I wanted to do. I never found that passion and that ambition to do that. So I went into business. You know, while the rest of my cousins and my family members went into medical field, I went into business. And I was that black sheep. It created a lot of struggles between me and my dad. But you know what? I knew that the fire was always burning when it came down to business and entrepreneurship. And that's what's led me to where I am today. You know, it wasn't until I took my first marketing class at Ohio State where that clicked, that passion for business, that excitement to be around something that sparked opportunity, jobs, and really a change is really what got me going. After law school, you know, I packed up my car and I moved away from everything I knew. I grew up in a small town and all my friends and family looked the same, felt the same, and I decided, you know, in order to break the mold, I had to move away. Moved here to Texas with nothing more than my car, and honestly, I didn't even have enough credit or money to get an apartment, so I was living in a motel that a buddy let me crash at. And the one thing that I had was an ambition and fire that nobody could take away from me, and I knew that if I was gonna change the mindset that people had about me, I had to do it myself, and I did. And you know, I got a job at Big Law, you know, the job that everybody would want, and I was doing that. And from the outside, it looked awesome. The inside, my fire started to die out. And so I knew I needed to get that fire back. And for me, that was starting my own law firm. And you know, here we are, 10 years later. We've got, you know, one of the largest, most powerful property tax law firms in the state of Texas. And you know, that same fire of starting something and being part of something was how I found F45. You know, it wasn't just a franchise. It wasn't just an investment. It was something that lit a fire in me, and that was health and wellness. You know, I had gained a lot of weight, tried a lot of things, personal training, CrossFit, OTF. None of them lit the fire until I took my first F45 class. And that's how I became an F45 franchisee. It wasn't until F45 hit where it clicked. Just like when I started my own law firm, it clicked. Just like when I got into business, it clicked. Started investing, it clicked. F45 clicked for me. I'm so passionate about F45 as you are. I know you're incredibly passionate about F45. You put your time and your money behind it. And really what I want to do is just take a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with F45. And for me, I'm not a problem finder, I'm a problem solver. And I know you're the same. The number one problem I think holding us back is the divide between the franchisor and franchisee. And I'm sure that's a sentiment that you've started to kind of unwind and start to see. And I think there's some real solutions to help solve that and build that bridge back together, which I'm excited to hear about. You know, I think the second biggest issue is really the lack of trust and transparency. You know, I think over the last few years, a lot's happened. We've gone through a lot together through COVID, through changes in leadership and management, you know, going from public to what's happening kind of now. We've seen a lot of changes, and that creates a lack of trust because of transparency. And a lot of times it's not purposeful transparency. You and I know this. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of things going on. It's hard to kind of make sure everything goes downstream the right way. But you know, when there's discussions amongst franchisees that you hear that go, hey, that's not true, you haven't done your homework, haven't done your research, it creates lack of trust and lack of transparency. And so I'm excited to hear about your solutions of how we're gonna help fix some of those issues. And those lack of trust and transparency is creating what I think is an issue is, you know, is that we've got a development strategy issue. And what I mean by that is we've got markets that really it's not F45 versus the world, which is what it should be. It's F45 versus F45, and that's killing us. We've got the greatest product in the world. I mean, we don't have a product problem, right? We do not have a product problem, but yet we've got a problem. We've got franchisees that are really, they see another franchisee as a threat, and I think there's some real solutions for that, and I'm excited to hear what you have for that. And that stems from a little bit of selling, not serving. I think those lead to the lack of trust and the franchisor versus franchisee issue, and that feeling of selling versus serving. I'm excited to hear about how, when you talked about getting back to serving the franchisee, when you talked about rolling up your sleeves and doing those things, I'm excited to hear about how F45 can really serve its franchisees, because I think that's going to help build back the trust, and it's going to get us on one team, which is Team F45. And so I'm excited to really hear about how we're gonna solve that issue as well going forward. So again, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to have dinner with you, hear your story, your journey, and really where this ship is headed, because it's the greatest product in the world. And I'm excited to see the changes that you have in store, and just thanks for giving me the opportunity to have dinner with me.